In the heart of every great city, ambition is king. But what if a single prophecy could crown one man and condemn another? Kofi and Amaugo were two friends standing at the start of their lives. One was promised a corporate throne, the other, a lifetime in chains as a puppet. Before we dive into this incredible journey, please hit that subscribe button and like this video so that more people can hear their story. If anyone has ever looked at you and told you what you could or couldn't become, or if you have ever watched someone rise effortlessly in life while you work twice as hard with half the results, then this story will hit home. What happened after that prophecy in Lagos is a powerful lesson about destiny, character, and the true meaning of success. In the big, busy city of Lagos, two young men were standing at the start of their adult lives. Their names were Kofi and Amaugo. They had been close friends since their university days, even though they were very different in many ways. Kofi was outgoing and full of energy. He was popular, friendly, and loved being the center of attention. He had many friends and followers online and always knew the right people to talk to. He believed that who you know was more important than what you know. Kofi had big dreams and was sure he was meant to be rich and successful. Amaugo, on the other hand, was quiet and thoughtful. He didn't enjoy parties or loud places. He liked learning new things, especially about computers and business. While Kofi was out meeting people, Amaugo spent his nights learning how to code, reading about business, and trying to understand how to solve real-life problems. He believed success came from hard work and real skills, not just charm or connections. He admired Kofi's boldness but often worried that Kofi's dreams didn't have a solid plan behind them. Their friendship worked like a balance. Kofi would invite Amaugo to fancy parties in Victoria Island and proudly call him his smart partner. In return, Amaugo would help Kofi fix his business plans and make them better. They had both just finished school at the University of Lagos and were excited about what the future could bring. Kofi wanted to rise quickly, while Amaugo was ready to take his time and build something strong. One hot afternoon, while they were sitting in a busy cafe, Kofi mentioned someone he had heard about, a woman named Nana Yaa. She wasn't a fortune teller in a faraway village. She was a well-known life strategist who lived in the rich area of Ikoyi. It was said that she gave advice to powerful people, billionaires, politicians, and tech experts. People believed that she could look at you and tell how your life and career would go. It was very hard to get a meeting with her, but Kofi had managed to get one through one of his contacts. He believed that seeing Nana Yaa would be the final step to confirm that he was truly meant for greatness. Nana Yaa's office was not what Amaugo had imagined. There were no strange items or burning incense. Instead, it was a minimalist masterpiece of glass and steel on the top floor of a skyscraper, offering a breathtaking panoramic view of the Eco-Atlantic city rising from the sea. The air inside was cool and still, very different from the hot and noisy streets below. In the middle of the room was a small bonsai tree on a smooth table, a quiet symbol of ancient wisdom in a very modern space. The silence in the waiting room was heavy. It made even the most confident visitor feel quiet and thoughtful. Kofi was full of excitement. He was taking pictures for social media and fixing his expensive shirt. To him, this visit felt like the last step before his big success. But Amaugo felt nervous. He believed in facts and effort, not in people who claimed to see the future. The whole thing felt strange and unrealistic to him. Still, he couldn't ignore the power and mystery behind Nana Yaa's name. And deep inside, even he wanted a small look at what the future might hold, especially since everything ahead felt so unclear. Soon, a calm-looking woman called their names. She had a tablet in her hand and led them into another room. This office was even simpler. There was no big desk. Instead, Nana Yaa sat in a plain chair that looked just like the two others in front of her. She looked like a woman whose age you couldn't tell, not young, not old, with eyes that seemed to hold a deep, calm, and unsettling wisdom. She wore a simple yet elegant traditional gown, her presence commanding the room more than any suit or title ever could. She did not smile, but simply observed them, her gaze lingering on each of them for a long silent moment. Then she spoke. Her voice was soft but strong. "You seek clarity in a city of noise," she said. You stand at the beginning of your paths and wish to see the end. But the future is not a place, it's like a river. You can either let it carry you or learn how to swim in it. She looked straight at Kofi, and for the first time, Amaugo saw a hint of doubt in his friend's confident eyes. Then she turned to Amaugo, and as she looked at him, it felt like she could see everything. All his fears, all his dreams, even the ones he hadn't told anyone. Nana Yaa looked straight at Kofi first. Her eyes seemed to see past his confident smile, his expensive clothes, and deep into what he truly wanted: power and success. She didn't speak for a long time, and the room felt quiet and tense. Then she finally said, in a calm voice, "Kofi, your path is paved with spotlights and applause. You will sit at the head of the largest and most powerful corporate table in this city. You are destined to be a CEO, a leader whose name will be synonymous with success. Your future is one of power and influence." A big smile slowly spread across Kofi's face. This was exactly what he had dreamed of hearing. It felt like proof that he was right all along. He was filled with joy. In his mind, he was already imagining his fancy office, giving speeches and winning awards. To him, this felt like winning the biggest prize in life, and he hadn't even started the race yet. Then Nana Yaa's face changed. The warmth in her eyes disappeared. She turned to Amaugo, and the air in the room suddenly felt cold. Amaugo felt a chill, even though it was hot outside. She spoke again, this time with a heavy and serious tone. "Amaugo," she said with a somber tone, "your fate is different. You will be a cog in a very big system. You will toil and labor, but the fruits of your work will belong to others. You will be a puppet, your strings pulled by the whims of managers and deadlines, until the very end of your career." The words hung in the air, devastating and absolute. Amaugo felt the blood drain from his face. Puppet, cog. All his hard work, his late nights learning and building, all for nothing. To be an anonymous drone in a massive corporation, with no agency or control over his own life. He looked at Kofi, who was trying not to smile too much. His face showed both pity and pride. In that moment, their friendship, once so strong, felt like it was breaking under the weight of these two very different futures. The car ride back from Ikoyi showed just how different Kofi and Amaugo had become. Kofi was full of excitement. He couldn't stop talking about the companies he would lead, the powerful people he would meet, and the rich life he believed was now guaranteed. Nana Yaa's prophecy made him feel like he had already won. So in his mind there was no need to keep working hard. He just needed to wait for it all to happen. His focus immediately shifted from building a career to building a brand. He was no longer just Kofi. He was Kofi, the future CEO. He stopped putting energy into the small business ideas he used to work on with Amaugo. Instead, he began focusing on his image. He wanted to look like a future CEO. He filled his days with networking events, yacht parties, and social media posts showing off his bright future. Kofi also took a job in marketing at a well-known company, not to grow or learn, but because it gave him access to rich and powerful people. He didn't care about the real work. He was good at speaking and looking sharp, but he left the serious tasks to others. Slowly, his thinking changed. Kofi felt like the world owed him success just because of what Nana Yaa had said. He became impatient and easily annoyed when people didn't treat him like someone important. His confidence turned into pride. His conversations were mostly about himself, and he started to look down on people like Amaugo, who were still working hard to build something real. He believed he was already on top, relaxing under the shade of success that hadn't come yet. But what he didn't see was that a prophecy is not a finish line. It's just a possible future. And if you don't work toward it, it can slip away. This new mindset began to hurt his character. The charm that once made people love him now felt fake. He started using people instead of valuing them. He judged friendships based on what he could gain from them. The prophecy, which should have motivated him, ended up trapping him. He was so busy celebrating a future that hadn't arrived. He forgot to prepare for the journey to get there. Amaugo left Nana Yaa's office feeling crushed. Her words puppet and cog kept echoing in his head. For days he felt lost, like everything he worked for meant nothing. He pictured his future, stuck in a small office, working under a boss who didn't care, doing work that had no real meaning. Every dream now felt empty. When he saw Kofi's smiling photos on social media, it only made the pain worse. Kofi was celebrating like a king, while Amaugo was drowning in sadness. Life felt unfair, like hard work didn't matter. Only luck and flashy confidence did. Amaugo wanted to quit, but something deep inside him refused. He started asking himself questions. Was he truly just a passive character in a story someone else had written? Or could he pick up the pen and write his own chapter? His sadness slowly turned into quiet anger. And then that anger turned into something stronger. Determination. If the world saw him as a puppet, then he would be the one to pull the strings. If he was going to be part of a machine, he would learn to build it, fix it, even outgrow it. With that mindset, Amaugo made a move that looked like he was accepting the prophecy. He took a low-level job as a data entry clerk at a large logistics company. It was boring work. He typed all day. No one noticed him. To others, especially Kofi, it looked like he was just another nameless worker in a big company. Kofi even told him, "Bro, this isn't you. You're proving her right." But Amaugo had a plan. He was learning from the inside. Every task, every system, every mistake, he was watching closely. While others just worked to survive, Amaugo was studying the machine from within. And when he got home every night, that's when his real work began. While Kofi was out partying, Amaugo sat alone with his laptop. He drank cheap coffee to stay awake. He used everything he learned during the day to build something of his own. Slowly, he started building a small app, a tool to solve a real problem he kept seeing at work: delivery problems in Lagos. Many small vendors were struggling to deliver products on time. There was no system, no plan, and traffic made everything worse. So Amaugo created an app called EcoDirect. It helped small business owners plan faster delivery routes, manage their stock, and connect with customers easily. Yes, the work was hard. Yes, it was lonely. But this time, the effort wasn't for someone else's company. It was for him. He was still a cog for now, but this time he was building his own machine. Years passed, and it started to look like Nana Yaa's words were coming true. Kofi was rising fast. Thanks to his smooth way of talking and strong connections, he kept getting promotions. He moved from marketing to a junior executive role in just a few years. Somehow, he was always in the right room, saying the right things, and getting credit for projects, even when the hard work wasn't his. He lived in a fancy apartment in Lekki, drove a nice foreign car, and his weekends were filled with parties, rooftop dinners, and red carpet events. On the outside, he looked like the perfect example of success in Lagos. But inside, things were different. Kofi had built his career on appearances. He looked like a leader but had never truly led anything. He talked about ideas he didn't really understand. He gave opinions on projects he hadn't done himself. Behind every success was someone else doing the real work. People believed in him because he believed in himself. His life was shiny on the outside but empty on the inside. He was like a beautiful boat with big sails, but no engine or anchor. He moved with the wind, but he had no control over where he was going. Amaugo's life looked very different. He still lived in his small apartment. He still had his boring office job. He had no social life to show off. To the outside world, he looked exactly like the cog and puppet Nana Yaa had warned about. Kofi even stopped checking in as often, feeling like their lives no longer matched. But Amaugo was quietly building something powerful. A night after work, he focused on EcoDirect. It was no longer just a side project. Now, dozens of small business owners were using it. Market women, Okada delivery riders, and street vendors all found value in the app. He personally helped many of them, listening to their problems and updating the app to meet their needs. The app was helping them save time, money, and fuel. Some could now deliver faster. Others had better records of what they were selling. For the first time, they were reaching customers outside their usual area. Amaugo wasn't rich. He wasn't famous. But the impact of his work was real. Every naira he made went back into improving the platform. He measured success through the happy messages he got from users. Their lives were better, and that meant everything to him. Meanwhile, the gap between him and Kofi kept growing. It wasn't just that their careers were different. It was how they saw success. Kofi chased the spotlight. Amaugo built in the shadows. Kofi wanted to be known. Amaugo wanted to be useful. Now, even their friendship felt like it was standing on two very different roads. Roads that might never meet again. The world economy started to shake. Prices were going up. Countries were struggling. Words like recession, inflation, and supply problems were all over the news. At first, people in Lagos didn't take it seriously. The city still felt full of energy. Life went on as usual. Rich people, including Kofi, didn't worry. They kept throwing parties, spending money, and posting pictures online. They believed nothing could touch them. They thought Lagos was too strong to be affected. But soon the cracks started to show. Kofi's company was part of a big international business. When trouble hit other countries, it started to hit them too. The company sent out emails talking about cutting costs and restructuring. The office mood changed. People looked nervous. Rumors spread. Everyone started to fear for their jobs. Kofi pretended everything was fine. He smiled. He gave speeches. He told his team, "We'll be okay. We're too big to fail. I've got this." But deep down he was scared. For the first time in his career, things were shaky, and he didn't know how to handle it. He had always been climbing up. Now, for the first time, the ground under him was moving. Meanwhile, Amaugo saw what was coming long before most people did. His job in logistics gave him a front-row seat to how goods moved through the city. He noticed fuel prices rising, ports getting slower, and small shop owners struggling to get what they needed. He also had access to live data through his EcoDirect app. It showed him exactly what vendors were facing. Sales were dropping. People were buying less. This wasn't a small problem. It was a big wave heading straight for Lagos. But instead of panicking, Amaugo got to work. He saw a chance. He knew that big companies like the one he worked for, and even Kofi's, were too slow to react. They were like huge ships that couldn't turn quickly. But small teams like his network of vendors could adapt fast. They could change plans and survive the storm. Amaugo didn't waste time. He worked harder than ever. He wasn't just building an app anymore. He was building something that could help people survive what was coming. While others were relaxing or pretending, he was preparing, like someone building a boat before the flood came. One evening, Kofi decided to visit Amaugo. He hadn't seen him in months. He told himself he was checking in like a good friend, but deep down it was more about making himself feel better. He wanted to see how far ahead he was now. Amaugo was at home, working as usual. His small apartment was full of whiteboards, sticky notes, and computer parts. Lines of code filled his laptop screen. The air was quiet, except for the steady hum of fans and clicking keys. It was nothing like the loud, fancy life Kofi was used to. Kofi looked around and shook his head. "Amaugo, my guy," he said with a half-smile. "You're still doing this. Look at you. You're going to burn yourself out. Nana Yaa told you this was your fate. Why fight it?" He sat down and leaned back. "Come work with me. I can get you something better, a stable job at my firm. You don't have to suffer like this." To Kofi, Amaugo's work looked sad. Like he was refusing to accept what life had already decided for him. But Amaugo didn't see it that way. He looked up, eyes tired but clear. He saw right through Kofi's fake concern. "A stable job?" he asked quietly. "So I can be a cog in your machine instead of this one?" "Kofi, what you call struggling I call building. Every line of code, every vendor I help, it's mine. It's real." He paused, then asked calmly, "What have you built, Kofi? Besides your image?" Kofi didn't like that question. He had a high position. He was a vice president. He managed people. But the truth was, he hadn't created anything of his own. He had built a name, not a product. His work was based on talking, selling, and managing, but not building. His smile disappeared. I manage a team of 50, Kofi said sharply. I don't need to build apps like a common technician. Have a destiny. You have a hobby. The room went quiet. Those words hit hard. Amaugo said nothing. Kofi stood up, angry now. Without another word, he walked out and slammed the door behind him. Amaugo sat alone again, in the same quiet room, surrounded by his work. But this time he felt something stronger than sadness. He felt fire in his chest. He was going to prove Kofi wrong, no matter how long it took. While Kofi and his co-workers sat in long meetings talking about what to do, Amaugo was already doing it. He didn't waste time discussing the problem. He was building the solution. He understood one thing clearly. When the big supply chains broke down, Lagos would have to depend on local people. Small businesses, local suppliers, and everyday traders. His app, EcoDirect, was in the perfect position to connect them. Amaugo took all the little savings he had and put it straight into upgrading the app. He worked non-stop, sometimes forgetting if it was day or night. This wasn't just passion anymore, it was survival. He added new features designed for hard times. A tool to share stock between vendors, so if one person had too much and another had too little, they could trade. A system to connect small businesses directly to farmers and local suppliers, skipping the blocked ports and bad roads. A digital payment option to help people keep trading when cash started getting hard to find. EcoDirect was no longer just a delivery app. It was becoming a full local economy system, one that could survive the crisis when bigger systems failed. But Amaugo didn't just sit behind a computer. He went into the streets. He spoke to market women in Balagan, mechanics in Mushin, and fishermen in Makoko. He asked questions. He listened to their problems. He didn't try to give them a one-size-fits-all answer. He built features based on what they actually needed. That's why people started trusting him. His users grew from a few dozen to hundreds. More and more small business owners saw his app as a lifeline. EcoDirect was no longer a side project. It had become a movement. If Kofi had seen it, he probably would have laughed. To him, small vendors didn't matter. He was used to talking about millions of dollars and big business deals. He couldn't see the power growing quietly in Amaugo's hands. But while Kofi stood high on the hill, looking at big companies, Amaugo was in the valley, building something real with the people. He wasn't preparing for a corporate war. He was preparing for a survival revolution. And when the storm hit, it would be clear who had truly built something that could last. A sudden global crisis caused oil prices to spike and international credit to freeze. This hit Nigeria hard and fast. Foreign investors pulled out. The Lagos port, the heart of the city's business, became a graveyard. Ships full of goods were stuck. There wasn't enough foreign currency to pay for the cargo, and orders were being cancelled left and right. The famine had arrived, but it wasn't food people lacked. It was goods, money, and trust in the system. Kofi's company was one of the first to fall. Their business depended on importing foreign products and selling them at high prices. But now, with no new goods coming in, their warehouses emptied out. Sales dropped to zero. The office, once full of confident talk and plans for expansion, was now filled with fear and confusion. The company responded the way many do in panic. They started firing people. The first to go. The regular workers, the so-called cogs in the machine. The people who actually kept the day-to-day business running were suddenly out of jobs. All over Lagos it was the same story. Supermarket shelves went empty. Construction sites shut down. Shops that needed foreign parts or goods closed their doors. The city's formal economy, the one shown in magazines and business news, was crumbling. But in the middle of the chaos, something unexpected was happening. The informal economy, made up of small traders, street sellers, local repairmen, and market women, the people who had always kept Lagos moving, began to shine. And at the center of it all was Amaugo's Eco-Direct. While big trucks were stuck waiting for cargo that never came, Eco-Direct's network of bikes and minibuses kept moving. They didn't rely on ports or foreign goods. They moved local produce and handmade products through the city's narrow backstreets, reaching people who needed them most. While big supermarkets were empty, small sellers on Eco-Direct were thriving, connecting directly to nearby farmers who still had fresh food. What Amaugo had built was no longer just a business or an app. It had become a lifeline. Eco-Direct was now the beating heart of Lagos. Moved goods, moved money, moved hope. While the big systems failed, Amaugo's quiet network held strong. He hadn't just built software. He had built a lifeboat. Thank you for watching. Let us know in the comments where you're tuning in from, and share one lesson you took from today's story. Don't forget to subscribe for more powerful stories like this, and tap the notification bell so you'll be the first to know when part 2 drops.